To the member for Gippsland.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and I rise to speak in support of the motion. I commend the member for Hindmarsh on his presentation in the spirit of bipartisanship which he extended across the chamber in relation to the issue of violence against women, in particular the comments he made in relation to zero tolerance. It's never acceptable at all to have any violence at all associated in our community directed at women. I commend the member for Indi for bringing this issue to the attention of the House tonight. As our electorates share a boundary, the member of Indi and myself, in the high country of Victoria, I'm sure the member will agree that there are many of our constituents share similar views on a whole range of rural and regional issues, and with the respect of the rights and the safety of women is highly recognised in both our communities. Deputy Speaker, this Wednesday people from across the world will unite in an effort to highlight the need to stamp out violence against women in a celebration known as White Ribbon Day. And the recent history of White Ribbon Day dates back to a group of Canadian men in 1991 who I understand saw it as their responsibility to encourage a change in their community attitudes after the murder of 14 women in Montreal. They wore white ribbons to signify their view that violence against women was completely unacceptable, which they hope would help gather support from the broader community, especially men. And that tradition has continued to expand throughout the world, so much so that we see hundreds of thousands of participants across Australia on Wednesday who will be participating in White Ribbon Day and raising funds from the sale of white ribbons, which goes towards implementation of a range of strategies to reduce the incidence of violence against women in our local communities. And before I continue into the other aspects of the motion currently before the House, I'd like to take the time to shed more light on what the White Ribbon Foundation of Australia identifies as the key reasons for participating in White Ribbon Day. And a quote from the White Ribbon Foundation that wearing a white ribbon is not a badge of purity or a badge of perfection. It does not mean that the wearer has perfect relationships. It means that this man believes that violence towards women is unacceptable. It is a visible sign that the wearer does not support or condone the use of violence against women. I'm sure everyone in the House will agree that this is a noble and worthwhile cause to support. And however, despite the strong support for White Ribbon Day amongst leaders in our community and throughout the world, we see violence continuing in our Society Day directed at women. The motion by the member for Indi referred to the fact that approximately 350,000 women will experience some form of physical violence and 125,000 women will experience sexual violence each year. Women often experience violence at the hands of men they know, and abuse is often repeated, and breaking that cycle is incredibly difficult for many of the women involved. I believe it's to our collective national shame, Deputy Speaker, that there are still this many cases of violence against women occurring every year. I've spoken on this issue in the past, and I commend other members for continuing to raise the issue in this place, as I believe it will take community leadership from members of Parliament, and the battle won't be won on any single one day. It will require a level of support for events such as White Ribbon Day to be continued and a goodwill to be pursued throughout the year. White Ribbon Day is an opportunity for us to focus our attention and to redouble our efforts for the ongoing commitment that will be required in the longer term. There does need to be a change in culture around the way violence against women is viewed in our society. It's never okay, and there can never be any justification for physical violence, sexual abuse, or to bully, harass or intimidate women. I've commended action in the past to establish the National Council for the Prevention of Violence Against Women, and we must continue to implement initiatives and programs that help to prevent further violence against women and provide refuge and support for women who have experienced violence. Lives are broken, Deputy Speaker, and families are torn apart when this violence occurs in the domestic situation, and we need to be continually vigilant to helping women get their lives back on track. The motion before the House today also notes that violence against women costs the Australian people $13.6 billion annually, and the National Council's plan for Australia to reduce violence against women and their children from 2009 to 2021 states that if there is no reduction in current rates, it will cost the economy an estimated $15.6 billion in about 10 years' time. It does give a sense of perspective, Deputy Speaker, to the size of the problem that we are faced with here today. The effects of violence against women are extensive, and further support is needed if we are to improve the current situation. I take up the member for Hindmarsh's comments regarding the need for a bipartisan approach, and it's not a question of deciding which government gives more or anything else like that tonight, Deputy Speaker, but certainly there's no doubt that we need to continually be vigilant to make sure we're providing the support services for women who have been affected by violence. And these preventative measures and campaigns like we're talking about tonight with White Ribbon Day are certainly a significant part of that. So I do commend the exceptional job that the White Ribbon Foundation of Australia does in raising awareness of the many women and children that live with violence in their homes or the threat of violence every day of their lives. We do need to take action to prevent that violence against women. I urge everyone to show their support for White Ribbon Day on Wednesday. and take up earlier comments as well that it cannot just be one day where we focus our attention on this particular issue. We do need to act as role models in our community to other men and to young boys, and to live by the creed of respect to all women, and I encourage others to take the oath this week as well. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.